Way too often we receive splashes of beautiful colors on a canvas that captivates us with information that does nothing but hinder our thought process. The world sees a bunch of beautiful colors and automatically calls it a painting. We are bringing the world a masterpiece, a canvas with beautiful colors, shapes, and figures. We call it art, you call it Hunter's TV. How y'all feel?
Alright, Picasso, come on, let's get the show on the road.
That's how you feel?
That's exactly how I feel.
Welcome to Hunters, the show where we
force you to dream big, force you to master your reality, and force you to feel powerful.
I'm James.
I'm Boadi.
And I'm Shaka, Ptah.
That's what's up. So today we'll be talking about the importance of knowing your purpose, finding one's purpose. This kind of came in mind the other day. I was thinking every living organism on this planet has a purpose. Every single person, being, organism plays a role that allows the world to run the way that it runs. But the one thing that makes human beings different from all other organisms is we are allowed to choose what our purpose is. We can choose at any time we want what purpose we want to play, what part of this great organism, which is Earth, we want to be a part of. So, you know, there's been many questions, an age-old question that asks, why are we here, who put us here, and all of those crazy theoretical things. Now, many people have come up with answers. Many people have theorized answers, but no one has come up with one answer that all the human community could agree on. So my statement is, we are here. You know, there's no sense in trying to figure out the answer to that great question, that age-old question. What we should be trying to figure out is, how can we make this world better? How can we show people that to live a certain way based off of how we live? How can we show people what our purpose is and have them bring purpose to their lives? Those are the questions that we should focus on. Not so much why we are here, but why we choose to be here, why we choose to move forward and go on. So we wanted to do an episode on that, and we're going to kind of take you guys to the movies today. We found some really great movies that we feel will be really relatable to this topic today.
Yeah, you actually made a good point with the whole purpose thing and why we're here, and we do need to bring back something positive to the world and all of that. Like, we were sent here to have basically an everlasting impact. All of us, we're all part of the food chain, right? The whole ecosystem. Yeah, the whole ecosystem. So if you put that into perspective, then yeah, we're going to hone in and we're going to make sure that you guys understand what it means to find your purpose, the importance of finding your purpose. As far as what we'll be talking about today, like he said, we're going to take you to the movies. I'll be talking about one of my favorite movies of all time, V for Vendetta. So if you think about it, hopefully you guys have seen it. If you haven't, we're going to give you, excuse me, a couple spoiler alerts. So basically, the whole plot in a nutshell is, it was in England, right, in the future, in England in the future, and basically they were doing a whole bunch of these biological tests on people, right? Now, the Prime Minister at the time of England, he had the cure for the biological tests, but he just had the blueprint for warfare. He was just using these tests to have another weapon, right, of mass destruction. Now, instead of giving these subjects the medicine, the cure, he just let them die off. So massive, hundreds of thousands of people were just dying off automatically, and it was just it was really horrendous. And there ended up being a big fire in there, and when the fire came, basically the guy V, he got his name because he was in room 5, Roman numeral V. And the fire just ended up burning him. He got third-degree burns all over the place, and it just embedded this huge fury in him, this huge anger. He wanted to unmask the government, right? So he was honing in on his purpose for about 20 years before he actually saw it through. Now, what he did was the whole meaning, his whole purpose in a nutshell, by unmasking the government, he actually killed a couple high-ranking officials in the government and all of that, was that he wanted to relieve the audience, well, not the audience, but his audience, right, the masses of fear. because everybody was just so scared to basically have their own thoughts, their own views, live life, and pursue whatever their happiness was, pursue their success. So basically, what he did was he put himself in a train, and he had the train rigged with a whole bunch of bombs and explosives, and he died at the time. I don't want to tell too much, but essentially the train went from point A, which was, I'm pretty sure, underneath his house, to Parliament, and him bombing Parliament relieved his whole country of fear, and he saw his purpose through like that. So that right there is just one quick nutshell of how V saw his purpose through. Now, how it came about from massive hurt, massive pain. And a lot of times for people to find their purpose, it has to come from a point where you're at the bottom, you're at the cellar, right? You're in the basement, rock bottom, and then there's no place but to look up. So that's how he kind of found his purpose, if you guys.
Yeah, just watching the movie, and you said you actually haven't seen the movie, right?
No.
Well, watching the movie, it was kind
like
of.
I've seen it now, though.
Sorry about that. I still think
great.
anybody that hasn't seen this movie, I definitely you won't waste 2 hours of your life. It's a fantastic film.
Beautiful.
But just to touch on a couple of points that James was making, the government at the time had instilled fear in the people's hearts. And that fear allowed or provoked the people to give away certain freedoms that they had. So they were so afraid that they gave away all of their freedom, and it was complete dictatorship. Everybody had curfews, and everybody had all of those things. So what he wanted, his overall purpose, was to show the people that they have the power. To show the people that you do have power and you can reclaim it whenever you want. But it took him having to do something so extreme as to bomb Parliament, as to get on television and tell people that, you know what, you guys are hiding from these truths. They're taking life away from you. And it took him having to put his life on the line and follow through with actually bombing Parliament and unmasking his government to get the people to actually feel that freedom that was stripped away from them. So it was a solid film, and like I said, once again, it goes back to purpose. It goes back to he was in a place where he was in rock bottom. There was nowhere to go but up, and he chose to alleviate his whole nation of that fear. And that fear gave the nation power, and it gave the people back their power, gave the people their voice back and all their freedoms.
Now, the lasting moment, I feel like when in this movie, I know you haven't saw it before, but the lasting moment was that he said this in the beginning, and he also said it in the end, that nothing is more powerful than an idea. An idea can't die. An idea doesn't feel any pain. It doesn't love. None of that. It has no emotions. So in the end, the reason why he passed away was because he got shot. How many times? Like,
too many to count.
Shaka. He was literally infested with bullets. Like I'm telling you, this man literally took about 50 bullets from about 10 different people, and he told everybody, he was like, listen, I know I have my swords, I don't have any ammunition, but if I'm still standing here after you guys just, I don't know, like,
after you guys finish unleashing
these bullets on me, if I'm still standing here, then I will kill you all. And that's exactly what happened. He took literally at least 50 bullets, and then he killed everybody, and he made his way to the train so that way he could fulfill his purpose.
And the beautiful part, not to cut you off, but I feel like an iconic moment is there's a moment where he's killed everybody that was shooting him except for one guy, and the guy just keeps shooting at him, and the guy asks, "Why won't you die?" And then he tells him, "Because I, my friend, I'm an idea. I can't die." Right. And it's crazy because when you watch the movie, you see that because he sent out masks, like his mask, he sent it to everybody in England.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful to see because he was that idea and everybody had a piece of that idea in him.
Yeah.
So he never died.
Yeah.
Although he himself died, the idea of what he stood for lived forever.
Yeah.
Right.
And I feel like that's a beautiful point.
Right.
That's
So,
a beautiful
in a
point.
nutshell, with the whole V for Vendetta thing, it's kind of like you have to be willing to die for your purpose. That's how you know you found a true purpose in your life, when you're willing to die for it. So.
And that's solid. And you know, a movie that comes to mind when I think of finding your purpose.
Drum roll, please.
is I personally think that this is the best action film that I have personally actually ever seen. Shaka has his differences.
He has his thoughts.
But it's 300. 300, Spartan 300. And just in a nutshell, what that movie portrayed, if you guys have seen it, is a man that was born with a specific purpose. Now, when he was born, his purpose was to be a Spartan. His purpose was to be the king of his people. His purpose was to lead, and his purpose was to inspire. However, that wasn't something that he chose. That was something that was given to him by birth. It was his birthright. Now, when he got to a point where there was just this god king, just complete tyrant that was taking over all of Greece.
Xerxes.
Taking over all of Greece and everybody that Greece encompassed. Now, he went to several nations and conquered, and then he finally got to Spartan. And Leonidas, who was the king of Sparta, he decided to not fold. He decided to not allow Xerxes to rule over him. And that, I feel like that moment when there's a moment in the movie where he tells Xerxes at the end, because Xerxes tells him to bow, and then he'll make his nation the greatest nation ever. He'll make him the warlord of over all Greece. Promised him all the things that he would want. But there's a very keen moment that Leonidas looks at Xerxes and he says, "You will know at the end of this war that few would have stood against many, and even a god king can bleed." Now, mind you, he took 300 of his best men to go up against hundreds of thousands of Persians. You know, and his purpose at that time wasn't to kill Xerxes, because he had 300 men. He knew the realities of it. He knew that he could not slaughter hundreds of thousands of men and win that war by himself. But his purpose in that moment was to show the world that if they united, if he can show the world that this king and this god was really just a mere mortal just like the rest of the world, that will empower the rest of the world to actually go out there and say, you know what, we will stand against you, because he has removed that fear that you instilled in all of our hearts. He has removed it, and he has laid down his life to make sure that it was removed. And at the end of the movie, I feel like the most powerful moment in the entire film was when he launched his spear and it sliced Xerxes across the face. And that showed that he had fulfilled his purpose, because he promised him that at the end of their battle, the world will know that even a god king can bleed. And that allowed the rest of the world to rally up and say, you know what, we are strong enough to take on this tyrant. We are strong enough to be individuals and be individual nations and not yield to this oppression. Now, we're talking about purpose today. And we're talking about finding your purpose. Now, although these people's purposes were a little extreme, and you know, because that's just the movie, that's just the movie
Dramatization.
Yeah, that's just what it is. But I believe that every single person in this world has a purpose. Now, there's a role that we all play. There's a role that we're all put here to play. Now, if you're not happy with that role, that purpose that you're given, at any given time, you can change it. You just got to find that one thing that is worth your life. You got to find that one. Now, I'm not telling everybody to go out there and sacrifice yourself if there's no reason for it. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm not saying do any of that. But what I'm saying is whatever you find your purpose is, it has to be greater than you. It has to be greater than your family.
I'm glad you said
it has to be greater than everything that you stand for. It has to be not just for you, but for everything around. It has to be something that your generations to come can look at and say, you know what, that man lived a purposeful life, because this man, by doing this, gave me the strength to do that. You know, and I feel like that's something that we all need to find. And that's something that we all need to, if you haven't found it, it's very important that you should. It's very important that you do, I should say. Because at the end of the day, without purpose, no one can live a fulfilled life. And at the end of that segment, this will wrap up that segment.
I want to know what your purpose is. Y'all telling me all about these movies.
Right. And I figured you would ask that. My purpose is very simple, very simply put. And I was actually having a conversation with a friend the other day, and she used an analogy that I'm going to steal. Right? So it's kind of like, the way I see it, think of the world as a giant picture. Just a giant painting that everybody in the world is forced to look at. Yeah. You're forced to stare at this painting because you're just born right in front of you, right? Now, this painting is so vast that when you're standing in front of it, you think you see all of it, but you really don't. My purpose, I believe, is to just help people take a step back and to go as far back as possible and see as much of that painting as possible. And what's in that painting? The true power that we wield. The fact that we are the masters of our reality. The fact that we can dream as largely as we possibly can, because all of those dreams are in that great painting. So my purpose is to move people away from that canvas, as far away from it as possible, so that they can see as much of it as their eyes allow them to see. And I feel like that's what my purpose is.
James, what about you?
I'm not too sure if I can live up to that answer. Simply put, what I feel like my purpose is, it's to basically like breathe life back into people. I really love the fact that I could talk to people and see what they're going through. And let's say if somebody's stressed out, upset, crying, I could make them laugh, right? I could bring happiness back into their lives. So I feel like, simply put, my purpose in this world is to bring happiness and overall life fulfillment into people's lives. And I could do that in a multitude of different ways. But I feel like that right there is why I was sent here. I feel like I've been through a lot of things in my life that at such a young age that it was supposed to happen. And the reason why it was supposed to happen is so that way I could either tell cautionary tales to other people, or I could just let other people know, okay, this is how life works, this is how my life has worked, so stay away from this, or look at it this way. Because, I mean, a lot of us are hard-headed. So, I want to make sure that a lot of people don't have to be hard-headed if they have an option, right? Just give people options. So, I mean, simply put, that's what I feel like my purpose is, to breathe life back into people.
Cool. That's solid. That's solid. So, you know, that wraps up the first segment on finding your purpose. We feel like it's something that's extremely important, and we feel like if you want to live a fulfilling life, it has to be a purposeful one. You have to find that thing that you were brought here to do and just give it your all.
And once again, it's not about you. It is, finding your purpose is not about you. It's about what you could bring back to this world. And then you'll feel like it has, since it has to do with you, it is about you. But at the same time, right, it's not about you.
And that's it. So we'll be back shortly, and we'll take away with the second guest. Well, the second segment, our guest.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is a great guy. His name is Nigel, and he's doing some crazy things right now. The guy's absolutely hunting down his dreams.
Praying on his success.
Praying on his success. And we want him to share his story with you guys, and hopefully he inspires you. And this is somebody that you really want to listen to, because he is somebody that he's not the Oprah Winfrey of the world, he's not the Bill Gates of the world, but we believe that he's going to get there someday. So we don't want to show you those people, because we want to show you Joe down the street that is hunting for his success, that is praying on his success, and that knows that he is going to make
finding his purpose.
Exactly. And we want him to bring some meaning to your guys' lives. So really pay attention to what he has to say, and we'll be right back shortly.
Welcome back to Hunters TV. We have our special guest, Nigel VanGronigen, with us today. He'll be talking to us about how he's praying on his version of success. He has a lot of great things that he's going to share with us. One of them being a very, very transcending app. I mean, I think the technology behind it is crazy. It's ridiculous. So, I mean, without further ado, So, Nigel, just tell us about yourself.
Yeah, no problem. So, like he said, my name is Nigel VanGronigen Jr. I am a senior at Howard University as a graphic design major, and I'm currently pursuing a lot of different things in the direction of technology, design, and innovation. So I'm actually an entrepreneur right now, trying to get my business off the ground, get things started, And I've been doing that recently for about the last, let's say, 3-4 years now. And I've been really investing into that and finding out, what I'm supposed to be doing in life. And I kind of found out technology and innovation is that direction I want to take.
Beautiful.
So, yeah.
That's solid. That's solid. I took a graphic design course in college. It wasn't easy.
It wasn't for you?
It was not for me. It was literally a different language. Like, literally a different language.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was interesting. So how are you currently being a hunter and preying on your success?
Okay. In a lot of different ways. So I like the concept of a hunter, which you guys put together in general, because it means a lot to me what I'm doing. It directly pertains. So to me, what a hunter is, in a sense, is 3 parts of the thing, basically. One is acknowledging you need to hunt. So I call it the hunger in a way. I'm hungry right now in the sense I need to get out there and hunt something. Part 2 of that is acknowledging what your prey is, like where you're going. Like I want to get that thing over there.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? And then part 3 of that is actually figuring out how you're gonna get there and maneuvering. So I call it the chase in a way. So I didn't figure out that I was hungry and wanted to be a hunter until about, I guess, middle school, high school, maybe even college, I would say, until I actually figured out, this is who you want to be. So I actually went to Howard on a 4-year academic scholarship, and they wanted me to go there for pre-med, which I could have did, I was doing well in school up until that point. And then as I got there, more or less as soon as I got there, I was like, yeah, nah, you never been a doctor. You know what I'm saying? Not because it was too hard, but because as I was taking the classes and going through, I was like, yo, there's a part of you that likes science, there's a part of you that likes that kind of stuff, but there's a whole other half of you that you're not exercising at all, you know? Right. So I was trying to find a way to, find that and bring that out of me. So eventually I changed my major actually 3 times officially at Howard, 5 unofficially. So I went from pre-med to mechanical engineering, and then I went to finally graphic design. And if you can tell, those are 3 completely different things entirely. So and the reason I switched that many times is because as I was taking the class, it was like, yeah, you know yourself. You spend a lot of time doing other things and just like reading books and taking classes and taking tests, even though you're good at those things. So eventually I started paying attention to what I was spending my time doing outside of school, like what do you do for your happiness? Obviously you watch TV, play video games, that kind of stuff, but what do you invest yourself in? Right. And the more I asked myself that, the more I found out like, yeah, you're the type of person that needs to be creative, you're very smart, but you're also creative. So being a doctor, you can be funny, I guess, make jokes with the patients, I guess. Yeah, right. But you can't exactly flex yourself the way I wanted to. Right. And that was frustrating for me, So eventually, I switched over to graphic design, and even that in itself is not the perfect major, I won't lie. I like to be like an inventor. But the classes itself, being in the computer lab or drawing whatever and being a digital designer, making animations, I was like, yeah, that feels right, So I started going that direction. So as a hunter, in a sense, I started, like I said before, that's the prey, figuring out that's what you want to get. You want to get something, that's the hunger. And the prey part came out saying like, yeah, you need to go in that direction. And that's why I found the technology and being an entrepreneur and started my own app and my own company.
So that's solid, man.
Yeah.
Solid.
So my first question would be, so are you saying that, just to touch on the overall idea of this show today, you found your purpose in college?
Yeah, I would say so. It was a gradual process over my entire life, and I knew that I was finding it. I knew that was a process, but it didn't actually come out of me until like, I was in the location where you kind of have to pick to find it. At that point, you can't really play around. It's like, okay, you're picking your career. So I made sure that I'm gonna pick a major that reflects who I am, And that's why I found, I think, my junior year, I would say, it was like, yeah, this is what you're doing now for your life. And over time, you get more and more into it, and I became a little more aggressive in that sense. And started pursuing Happy Trigger. And what that is in general is a game you can download for your phone. It's basically laser tag on the go, So
like the legit laser tag, like how we go to...
Right.
Okay.
So in case you're not familiar with laser tag, you can go out and basically go with your friends and family and aim and shoot intuitively. From anybody from 5 to 95 can play laser tag. You guys
Love
played
laser
before.
tag.
It's fun, right? Exactly.
Real fun.
My concept basically is taking all that and putting it on the phone. You know, the phone is powerful enough to have that kind of technology. So I basically had an inspiration from a TED Talk. I saw,
love TED Talks.
Yeah, I love them too, man. And I like all of them, but one in particular really sparked this idea that I had in about 2013, I would say. And I call it like a Jimmy Neutron brain blast almost. You guys seen Jimmy Neutron, right?
Absolutely.
Every time in that show, he would go through all this trouble and take all these L's, basically. And by the end of the show, he would just put it all together and it would come like, bang, that's what I'm supposed to do, and save the day. And when I came up with the idea, it felt just like that. You know, the idea was stuck in my head. And up until this point, it's been that way. But it's more than an idea at this point, you know. So that's what I'm pursuing now.
So do you already have it produced, the app?
Yeah, so we have a couple prototypes basically proving the concept, how it works on the technology side, but we haven't actually launched on the App Store yet.
Okay.
But beginning in 2016, Q1, I would say, we're trying to have that launched out so you can actually download it for iPhone or iOS. You know,
Could
so
you do it for Android devices?
yeah, we could too, but that's second place. I have to say.
I like where your mind's at.
Sorry, Android users.
Eventually, we got y'all. You know,
That's
so,
solid, man. That's
Yeah,
solid.
yeah.
So what do you think is the greatest gift that you can offer the world?
Man, even deeper question.
You like to go deep in.
Yeah, I appreciate it though. You know, so if I had to pick, I guess one overall, it would be like I said, my creativity and more so my ability to be resourceful. And that comes from something even deeper, which is my awareness. So I don't speak a lot, I listen more. I don't always like act, I more look around and see. And I kind of have an eye for things. So I'm able to take with seemingly nothing and innovate and build upon that. So you know what, that actually could be something if you did X, Y, and Z, you know?
Right.
So I really am invested and passionate in that in the sense that I like taking something out of nothing, out of nowhere, like it's nothing, you know, kind of making something humongous from there. So I'm really passionate about doing that, and I found that no matter what it is, whether it's apps, websites, technology, gaming, what have you, you know, I figured out that if you give me enough time to just stare at it, I'm gonna make something out of it, you know. So that's my personal gift. I like really doing that. So
That's all.
yeah.
I got another question I'd like to sneak in there.
Yeah.
What do you want to be remembered by? What is that thing that you want to do that people are like, you know what, Nigel brought this to the world?
Yeah. Man, y'all got the questions today. So when I look at what life is and what the world is, I always see, like you mentioned at the beginning of the show, we all have life, you know, animals from deer to, you know, cells and people, that kind of thing. But humans have a different kind of life that they can actually, you know, control their path in a sense. And once I really acknowledge that, like, yeah, you're a human being that can say, I want to go left or go right. And that can completely change your life entirely. And basically once I realized that, I found out, yeah, you know, you have to act upon that. You just can't have that in your head. You know, you have to actually go through your life and say, okay, you can really make a difference. So I guess what I want to get across to other people and things like that is that even if you're in a disposition, or even if, you know, you may not be set up for greatness, through your life you can actually make things happen, like I said. And that just takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of passion, I guess you could say. You have to have that element too. You just can't be smart, you just can't be wanting to do it. Like I said, you have to know that you have to do it, in a sense. So I kind of figured that out throughout my life, and I'm still figuring it out, to be honest. I'm 23, you know. So, but I definitely feel like once you get a grip on what life is and have a fully understanding, like, yeah, I'm conscious and I'm here, you know, you can really do a lot. So I feel like that's the biggest thing.
That's what's up. So you kind of just basically want to show people, just bring that awareness to people by living your life in a specific way.
Exactly.
Solid.
So lead it by example.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
So I have a motto actually too. It's like, you know, to do better and inspire others to do the same. That's what it is basically. So I feel like I'm doing better in myself, and by me just doing that through that process, I feel like it has like an energy that oscillates throughout the world, and, you know, and people pick up on that. So I want to have that and express myself as much as I can in every kind of way I can.
Beautiful.
That's solid.
Yeah.
That's solid.
So next question would be, what motivates you in your quest for success? So let's say, like, when times get rough, or let's say when things are not going your way, what do you look towards to? What pulls you through a situation?
Yeah. So like I mentioned before, I'm really observant and aware. So even when I'm taking major failures, I can look at it from a stance, take a step back and be like, okay, you definitely took an L there. That sucks for you, all right? But look at all those little mini W's you just took at the same time. You know, you did this, you did this, you did this. And I realized that if you can acknowledge your experience, acknowledge, like I said, those little tiny victories, then you can actually feel good about it, even though you just lost, in a sense, you know? And that's a skill you have to actually build upon. You're not really born with that, I don't think, you know? You have to actually figure out that that's required to keep it going and keep building. So, even though I take a lot of L's, trust me.
Yeah, we all do. We all do.
So I make sure that I pay attention to everything in every perspective. That's another word I want to use. Have perspective and realize that, yeah, from your perspective, you may not like what's going on, but in the grand scheme of things, you're actually moving forward. You're still growing. And the more I remind myself about that, the better I feel, the more I keep going.
Beautiful. That's solid. That's solid. So you can kind of like, and I feel like that is an impressive skill to have. And I feel like that's something that you have to develop over a period of time.
Definitely.
You know, and being able to find all the little mini wins in a situation, even though the bigger picture seems like a loss.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll just wrap it up with, what do you think your purpose is?
Man, it's the biggest one, right?
That's the biggest one. That's the topic of the day.
Yeah. So, man, I'm trying to put it concisely because I feel like that's a big question. Like I said, it has
absolutely. It has a lot of components to it.
Exactly.
It's not an easy one to answer.
Right. So I feel like reaching into the future in a sense, and then bringing back something to the present day. Because tomorrow's not that far away, if you ask me. It's any song.
It's very poetic.
Right? So my personal
poetic.
mantra that I have everywhere is tomorrow today. You know, I feel like anything you want can be just right there if you so choose it. You know, we have that kind of will. You know, exactly. There you go. This guy's hip. So the more that I look at myself, the more I realize that today and tomorrow are pretty much the same thing. Yeah. It's more about what you're doing and how you have a vision for it, and acknowledging you have one foot here and one foot there. And the more you can bridge the gap between the two and see the opportunities and see that it's not that far away, the better you can be. And I feel like my purpose in a sense is like having that foresight, having that vision, you know, in the sense to see that there and be like, yeah, I want that over there. It's like the hunting thing, you know, acknowledging you're hungry, acknowledging your prey, and actually chasing it, you know. Like so I feel like I'm really in the mode of that, like of the right now chasing what it is and finding it. Even though it's not directly in front of me.
Right.
So
that's solid. I was real quick. I was listening to an audio by Earl Nightingale, and he said he kind of touched on what you just did. He said what the most innovative people in the world do, what the most successful companies in the world do is they don't look at what's going on today. They look at the industry that they're in currently, and they say, where is this industry going to be 10 years from now?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And then they act upon that now,
right.
today. You know what I mean? Bringing the future to the present. I like that.
That's the only way it's going to happen, you know, if you act today. So.
I mean, and to touch on it, just like what you said with Earl Nightingale, I mean, you think about Kanye, what has made Kanye West, love him and hate him. His music is successful and he does numbers every time because he brought out the auto-tune and brought it to like the hip-hop level. Right. And then now you have people like Drake, right? Just not saying using the auto-tune, but just the sound, the voice. I mean, he literally, he did the same thing. So if you could stand there and look at your present situation now and say, all right, how can I improve upon this? Just like what Steve Jobs did with Apple.
Exactly.
Right? He had the concept for the cell phone way before we ever saw it.
Exactly.
But by the time we saw it, it was such a perfected concept that he just shattered numbers. Right. So, I mean, I love it.
That's solid, man. That's solid. And we always like to do this for our guests. We do a secret talent. Everybody has a secret talent. Or a special talent. Doesn't necessarily have to be a secret. But the reason why we do this in this segment is because we feel like everybody does possess this one thing that just makes them special. There's one thing that they love to do. There's one thing that's a big part of them. You know what I mean? And we want to bring light into that, and we want to put value into that.
Okay.
Because most times, you know, we're just like, this is just an everyday thing that I do, so it's just whatever. Right. We want to show people that those things are important. They're an essential part of you. You know what I mean? So what would you say your secret talent is, or your special talent is?
Yeah. So, like you said, it's not necessarily a secret.
It doesn't necessarily have to be a secret. We just like to put it that way because it sounds cool.
Yeah, I got you. So overall, like I said, the creativity, I like to incorporate it with everything I do. You know, so I make my own comic books, make my own apps, make my own website, whatever it may be.
You made a comic book?
Yeah, like a while ago, something like
That's
nice.
you know. But the secret one I would say that I don't flex publicly, but I definitely perform on a regular basis is rapping actually. So I like to actually write my own stuff. I don't put it on YouTube. I don't put it on anybody. I don't rap for anybody. It's 100% for me. Kind of like I write it in a way it's like a motivational thing. It's called an affirmation. So the more I rap, I'm basically telling myself, yeah, this is what's up. This is who you are.
Yeah.
This reminding yourself, and it sounds hot.
Right.
You know, 'cause it's creative. You know. So what I'll do is just share a very short one I wrote recently that's real personal, and I kind of rap it every day in a sense, almost like a prayer to like remind myself. So that's what that is. So I could do that. I'm rap for y'all. So let's see. I'm a man, and I do what I can, and I can what I will. I will. Boy, that sound like a plan. And I feel Nigel, and hope that you feel the same. Living life trying to kill it, man. I ain't chillin' till I feel it slain. A builder kept building and the building came. King making castles out of sand. The stars in my mind and the world in my hands. If I can't, then I can. 'Cause I'm the man and he the God. You understand? Both 'cause I'm one with him. Son closer to the Father, don't got him, then I'm gon' get him. Know when I'm getting colder, getting hotter if I listen. Grabbing trophies, I seize him if I spot him. Get a shot and bang, I let the gun hit him. Bendy, red dot him, not one missing. Infinity, yo, I still ain't done with him. Trinity, still me, myself, and I, though. Eyes closed to the snakes and the rivals. My light glow too bright for your blindfold. I don't, yes, nothing but what I know. Got them heads nodding, you know, I know, like, uh-huh. You understand? Understand, I'm the man. I'm the man, you understand? Robot.
Robot.
You know?
That's nice, man. That's good. That was real smooth.
Appreciate it.
That was real smooth.
That's
You
for me,
didn't have
though.
to get
Y'all
all
can hear
flashy.
it.
That's real smooth.
I like that.
I do want to touch on something.
Yeah.
Because I do not want to, I don't know, not give Happy Trigger the due it deserves.
Right.
Because, I mean, I feel like it's a transcending act.
Yeah.
And I really want the viewers to understand that the technology behind it or just how it works.
Right.
Because I feel like understanding how it works and the instrument that you have for it
Yeah.
is really what makes it such a great transcending act. So
Definitely.
if you could, if you want,
Yeah.
obviously because you're still have it in a prototype stage and it's coming out early next year.
Yeah.
Touch on it.
Yeah, definitely. I have something I could show too if you have the time for it. But like I said, Happy Trigger and the concept is basically laser tag for your smartphone, right? And the technology behind it gets real technical. But basically, your smartphone is real powerful. Now everybody has when you need it, basically, right? It has this camera, it has an accelerometer, it can do this, it can do that, Wi-Fi, everything, right? So I'm trying to combine all those things together and make a game out of it. So basically how it works in the premise is using color identification, right? So just by using your phone's camera, you can just turn it on and point and aim and shoot. And your phone is smart enough to recognize, okay, that's yellow, that's blue, that's green, you know, through our programming, through our coding. And once you can do that, you can say, okay, he's wearing an orange shirt, you're player 1, he's wearing a bluish shirt, that's player 2, so on and so forth. So now you can just use that and capitalize on it and expand upon it. So now you don't have to wear the big, heavy laser tag vest. You don't have to go to a venue to play it. All you gotta do is download the app, and assuming you have the Wi-Fi for it, your phone sends a signal from one phone to the next one saying, okay, I just hit you over here, give me 2 points, you know? And it works basically off of that. You can do a lot of fun stuff with that, you know? Instead of having gun sounds and things like that, we have more happy things. That's what we call a happy trigger. So you can actually use your own sounds to shoot with. So you can have a yeet yeet or a yak 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 or whatever it may be as you're running around shooting. You know, so we're trying to rebrand the entire and reinvent the entire laser tag industry in a sense. And saying, okay, it's real outdated. It's kind of fun. Obviously, it's fun.
Right.
But we're trying to make a 21st century version of that anybody from 5 to 95 can play just by downloading it and having the T-shirt. So if it sounds like something you guys want to play, you know, it's available right now. It's my self-plug. HappyTriggerApp.com. You know, we're coming out next year. And I feel like it's a lot of things within it, even if you're not a gamer. If you're an active person, if you like having fun at barbecues or on the beach, wherever it may be, it's one of those kind of games you play real quick and have a good time. So the technology is pretty simple. Like I said, every smartphone has the capability of doing that. But we recognize that, okay, if we take that one thing and expand upon it, we can make an entire industry, in a sense, just based off of that. So that's the premise for it.
Yeah, I feel like it's beautiful because when you look at we, right, you look at how we changed the game when it came, no pun intended, game, right? Like you're literally exercising, and it's like vigorous exercising because you'll sweat up a storm just playing tennis, or in boxing you'll sweat up a storm, burning a whole bunch of calories. So the fact that you could take laser tag and say, okay, I'm at the beach right now, but I can still laser tag with my family and all of that just by color identification. I mean, I think it's beautiful, and I mean, is it okay to touch on the instrument? Because I feel like the instrument is what brings everything together.
Right. So the reason
it is crazy.
We definitely have a patent pending right now, actually, for the instrument part he's speaking on. So, like I said, it's a phone that does all the technology stuff. We also have a controller that attaches. You can imagine like a toy gun and things like that, like typical laser tag, and it communicates with the phone. So instead of holding an arbitrary controller that has nothing to do with the game, you're holding a physical gun, point, aim, and shoot. So that makes it more intuitive for the gamer. You don't have to really worry about X, Y, and B and all that. It's point, aim, and shoot. So the patent pending is building upon that concept. Like, you can combine a phone with a controller, and boy, that's fun in itself.
So in a sense, the phone turns into like a scope, kind of, right?
Exactly.
Where you could look at the terrain, and it would be like the Call of Duty had like set up. Let's say if anybody's ever played that game, and in the upper, like let's say right hand corner, you'll be able to see the radar with the color coded dots or something like that.
Exactly right.
Right. So you'll be able to see how far away, let's say, Boadi is from Nigel, from just myself. I mean, I think that alone makes me want to play Happy Trigger. That alone, like, the technology is profound.
Exactly. We're trying to bring those kind of things, the typical video games that everybody really likes, into real life. You're actually in this game. It's not a thing you put over your face. It's not like a fake, virtual reality type
Augmented reality?
It's augmented reality. A combination of what's real around you combined with the virtual. And that's like a beautiful thing. If you ask me. I love this stuff. I love this stuff.
I gotta get that. I gotta get that.
Coming soon, You got an iPhone, right?
That's solid, man. That's solid. But Nigel, man, we really appreciate you coming on. Guys, real quick, do you have like an Instagram, a Snapchat, Facebook that people can find you, like somebody was looking for you?
Definitely. So you can go to my website. That's the main thing. That's VanGronigen.com. Very hard to spell. VanGronigen.com. I also have an Instagram, Nigel the Robot. And between those two things, you'll be able to find everything else. So, like I said, HappyTriggerApp.com. So, HappyTriggerApp.com.
That's it, All right, Nigel. Look, Hunter, salute.
Definitely. Appreciate you.
All right, brother. Appreciate you coming on.
Definitely. Thank you for having me,
brother. No problem.
All right.
And on to the next. So, guys, like usually, we bring our man Shaka Ptah on stage.
The one and only.
One and only Shaka Ptah always has some powerful stuff to share with the world. So just stay tuned, and he'll be right on after this segment.
Thank you.
Blue skies smiling on me. Nothing but blue skies do I see. Blue birds singing a song. Nothing but blue birds all day long. I can tell you why the sky is blue. I can tell you how to find the you that lives inside every lie you tell just to hide from you and give advice to you. Like you should think, cause your mind could do like anything if you use it. Or spend your life just being great instead of always trying to prove it. Cause the truth is I'd be glad to help. But it's probably best if you find yourself, because maybe then you could recognize all the lies they tell and your mind would know. You're waiting online just to find the show that everybody's been dying to go. Cause everybody's still dancing. But the music stopped a long time ago. Don't take the bait, you got a cake to take. You can't take a break, and I can change your mind without a great debate, because you know it's true and you know it's blue. And he turned his head, and the reporter said, in that fire there are 16s. And all of them are reported dead. I can't afford to think about reality When all I see are these casualties, just leave me to my family. I got bills to pay with my salary, cause that sky's blue and that grass is green, but those clouds are gray and that rose ain't red. I walked away, they counted down, them cameras rolled. I could've sworn he said, ooh, it looked amazing. Ooh, it looked amazing. Ooh, the world is changing. Ooh, somebody save us. God is looking down at us. Ooh, we look so crazy, but I saw the sky today. Ooh, it looked amazing. Blue skies. Shaka Ptah.
Thank you for watching Hunters TV. I'd like to send out a special thanks to you, the viewer, for viewing our content today. We'd also like to send out a special thanks to our guest, Nigel VanGronigen. We really appreciate him coming on and sharing that information with us. Really enjoyed that. Today we talked about finding your purpose and the importance of it. And James, just touch on and bring it home for us.
All right, got you. So just to wrap up on everything that we said today, when it comes to finding your purpose, you need to make sure that first and foremost, don't focus on yourself, focus on what you can bring back to the world. A lot of times people wait until, excuse me, a lot of times people wait until like something like catastrophic has happened in their life, that they're at the cellar floor and the only place they can look at is up and look for the light to find a silver lining in their life or find a purpose. You don't necessarily need to wait for that. We understand that we gave you 2 examples with V for Vendetta and the movie 300, but those are just 2 extreme examples. We had Nigel here earlier, and he was telling us that he found his purpose through trying different majors in college, trying 5 different majors. So, I mean, once again, you don't need to go out there and sacrifice your life to find your purpose. Just avidly and, I don't know, diligently try to get closer to it each day. So once again, continue to try to pray on your version of success and find your version of what your purpose is and what your life means to you and what you want to be remembered for. So that right there is what I'll leave you off with today.
And last thing I want to say, if you haven't seen 300, you have to watch it. It's an amazing movie. If you haven't seen V for Vendetta, you have to watch it. Also an amazing movie. We have some people that would disagree with that, but we're just going to leave that at that. And once again, continue to be hunters and pray on your success.
Pray on your version of success. Thank you.